Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back for another viewing of the DEAMS Discover Reviewer reports. Right now we're going to look at one very valuable report that I found because I always have a question on where are my requisitions and how does it tie to my POs or the PR to the PO. Oftentimes you'll run that GL or that STH and you'll see when it shifts to an accounts payable, all of a sudden that Form 9 shifted to a contract and obligation. It completely lost the link, so I have no idea cradle to grave where that money went. This gives us a little bit of that capability. So if you remember under Navigator, here's your DEAMS Discover Reviewer Navigator. When you click on that, it will open a little responsibility over to the side. I do apologize, I did say that it would open in the other side, but since there's nothing underneath that folder in DEAMS Discover Reviewer, it just opens directly to it in the worksheet list. Now here's where I wanted to show you something though. This is a good situation. Notice that now there's no tab up here with DEAMS available. Now we no longer have DEAMS functionality to go back to, so you have to make sure that you try and right click and go in there, and I'll show you that the right way to go into DEAMS Discover Viewer. So now that we're back in DEAMS Discover Viewer, now notice that it did take us direct when we clicked there, but it is over here in your Navigator section. Whenever you want to go in there, you do want to right click. You can actually go into Edit Favorites right here and right click on this and take care of it. If it's your first time into DEAMS, please make sure you go up into Preferences and change your limit line item retrieval to 999,999 versus the 10,000 line default. You will probably miss information. The other thing to make sure is that the very bottom of that page is Enable Fan Trap Detection. You want to make sure that's empty. If it's not, your queries won't run. So right here, we're going to open it in a new tab, and we're just going to, boom, magic of Advent, we're going to go right to here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to search by linked, and then I'm going to let it run. Now what it's going to do is it's going to look through every table and find out any workbook that has the word linked in the title. Now notice that there's only two, and we're not really worried about Diddy ITOs. What I'm looking for is DEAMS Purchase Orders Linked Requisitions. I'm just going to expand that out so I can see the sheets that are assigned to that workbook. And there's only one, so I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to open up our parameter screen so that I can set up the filters that are necessary to run the report. Once that opens, all I'm going to look at, I'm going to go with my OE. Remember, that's just an F or Foxtrot for Air Force, and then your OAC and O-band. You can filter it down by fund, and if you have multiple fiscal years where you're looking for, I'm only about 7 months in. I still have some FY15 projects that are out there that haven't paid, especially on my SRM front, so I want to make sure to keep those in. So I'm just going to run it blank. I've only been in DEAMS for 15 and 16. Then just click Go and let it run. While it runs in the background, I'll give it a pause for a second, and I'll be right back when we're able to export our document. And poof, the magic of technology, and all of a sudden now I've gone through and I've worked out the assumption in this video that you didn't understand how to export the document, and when you clicked on Enable Content it gave you this nice formatting. The macro tab is now gone away, and then you've made sure that any lines that are above your header have been deleted. Your header in your table, you always want to make sure that's in line 1. Makes everything very, very nice if you're linking it to any other products. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add a filter here just for our references. But here we come down, and now we do have our purchase order document number. Now notice that this is where we have all of those data informations. And this is where we have our W912J for me, that's our contracting prefix. So I know that this has all of those different links to it for our information. And then we get into where we have our line number, our distribution number, UOO, AEU, AEP data information, and then our gross obligations. As we go through, you'll be able to see that there's an actual item description. That's, remember, that first screen in the PR process and in iProcurement when they put that information right up top. This should support your naming convention and your business rules, explaining exactly what you're looking for. So we do have just a funding mord here. We have a MIPR here, Form 406 mord there, and then the type. And then now here's where we have a nice column right here. That's our requisition document number. So now this is nice because if you remember when you're in DEAMS and you're doing an amendment to a contract to increase a CLIN, you are creating actually two different Form 9s for that, but you're linking it to one PO. So it's very nice to be able to go in here and find out exactly, did those two documents tie to the same PO or did they not? It's also a nice way when you're doing research to find out if you have a W series information, and we'll just pick one just to grab it, and hopefully it's nothing that I shouldn't be looking at. But now we'll just go ahead and look, and we'll grab it, and we'll scroll right across and for the several CLINs that are there. And now I know that there is a requisition document number right there for the Form 9 that ties to that contract. And this was an SRM project that also included some commercial COM information and infrastructure. So this was data that I could follow straight through to make sure that I show exactly where the payments are, because notice that that second CLIN right there still has about 38.6 on it that we need to track and make sure that the vendor gets paid for. So this is a very useful tool to help ensure that your STH and your GL can tie together and that you can track information all the way back through when you're doing research. So I appreciate you stopping by, and we look forward to the next training opportunity. All right, thank you.